Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for taking all that manual work your team does and turning it into something slick and automated. It's called the 90-day automation method, and it's all about creating change that actually lasts. So, let's kick things off by talking about the one big problem this whole thing is designed to solve. So, let me ask you this. Does your workday feel like you're constantly copying something from one screen, swiveling your chair, and pasting it into another again and again and again? We call that the swivel chair loop, and honestly, it's just a massive drain on your team's real talents. And the whole idea here is what the source material calls the swivel chair evolution. It's about that journey from the mind-numbing manual grind to a world where things just happen seamlessly. It's about freeing up your people to do the work that actually matters. But, how do you get there? Well, here's the big secret. This is not about just buying some fancy new software. Nope. Real, sustainable automation is a strategy, and it's built on 3 pillars: people, processes, and technology. And think of it like a 3-legged stool. If one of those legs is wobbly, the whole thing is going to fall over. So let's start with the absolute foundation, the first pillar: people and culture. Because I'm telling you, you can have the most amazing technology in the world, but if your team isn't on board, it is going absolutely nowhere. Everything kicks off with education. Fear, rumors, misconceptions. That stuff can kill an automation project before it even gets off the ground. But the good news is you can get ahead of it. There are tons of amazing free resources out there, from official courses on the UiPath Academy to simple, easy-to-understand videos on YouTube that just explain what this stuff really is. And once people are educated, you start to see 2 kinds of automation builders pop up. First, you've got your specialist developers. These are the pros using the heavy-duty tools for the big company-wide processes. But, and this is so important, you also empower citizen developers. These are people from the business side who use simple, low-code tools to automate their own day-to-day tasks. Now, for this to really work, you need a support system. That usually means setting up a center of excellence, or a COE, which is basically a hub for all your experts. You'll also want a robot operations center to just keep an eye on things and make sure they're running smoothly. And maybe most importantly, you need a super clear way for anyone in the company to suggest ideas for new automations. That's how you get real buy-in. And here is the turning point. At first, you might get a little pushback, but the source material points out something crucial. Once an automation is actually up and running and it's making people's daily lives easier, nobody wants to go back. It becomes a tool they can't live without. Okay, so you've got your people on board. That brings us to pillar 2, the right processes. This is all about the blueprint, choosing and designing what you're actually going to automate. Look, smart automation isn't an all-or-nothing deal. You have to think in 3 parts. First, you define the happy path. That's the ideal scenario that can be fully automated. Second, you plan for a human in the loop, those moments where you need a person's judgment. And third, you have to be real about what tasks just need to stay manual. And this is a point that so many people miss. The goal is not to automate 100% of everything. Some things are just too complex, too expensive, or have too many rules around them. Honestly, knowing what not to automate is just as important as knowing what you should. And of course, every decision really boils down to a cost-benefit analysis. On one side, you've got the costs, the infrastructure, the development time. But on the other side, the benefits aren't just the hard numbers, like time saved. They're also the huge qualitative wins, like how much better team morale gets when you get rid of the most boring parts of their job. This all leads to a really big shift in thinking. You have to stop getting bogged down in the specific ROI of every single little task. Instead, you need to think of automation as a whole business program. Taking that bigger, more holistic view is what really leads to success in the long run. All right, so we've got our people and our processes figured out. Time for the final pillar, the technology engine that actually makes all of this happen. This is where the robots come to life. When it comes to the tech, you can basically boil it down to 2 main types of robots. Think of attended robots like a personal assistant that works right alongside a person, helping them get things done. And then you have unattended robots. They're like a 24/7 digital workforce in the back office, running on a schedule, all by themselves. And you don't just build these automations and get them run wild. No way. They need the same kind of careful control as any other piece of company software. That means they follow a strict path from the development environment to a proper testing environment, and only then do they go into the live production environment. And behind all of this, you need a few non-negotiable technical building blocks. We're talking rock-solid security with dedicated robot accounts. You need to plan for capacity, both for now and for the future. Your monitoring has to plug right into your existing IT systems, and you need a clear plan for who's going to support these things long-term. So there you have it, the 3 pillars: people, process, and technology. Now for the big question: how do you pull this all together into a plan you can actually execute? Well, that's where the 90-day roadmap comes in. Now, here is the most important way to think about this roadmap. The 30, 60, and 90-day points are not phases. You don't finish one and start the next. Think of them as check-ins. At each checkpoint, you're looking at the progress you're making across all 3 pillars: people, process, and technology at the same time. They're all moving forward in parallel. And that right there is the secret sauce. Success with automation is not a straight line. It's not a step-by-step linear process. It's all about making balanced, simultaneous progress on the human side, the strategic side, and the technical side, all at once. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What is that one swivel chair task in your team's world, that one repetitive, manual process that, if you could just make it disappear, would totally unleash your team's creativity and true potential? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me.